welcome to episode 3 of Together We Rise. I'm actually recording this introduction on the very last day of May, and I can't believe how quickly this month has gone. So I'm going to be squeezing in a couple of last May Day songs, or May month songs, because there are so many, like I said before. And then tomorrow, it is a new month. I'll have to find some more songs then, coming up to summer. As I marched out one May morning betide, I met a maid from home had strayed, just as the sun do shine. What have you here so soon, my dear? Your journey to pursue. Your pretty little feet, they tread so sweet, strike off the morning dew. I've come to tend my father's flocks, his young and tender lambs, that over hill and over dale lie waiting for their dams. Oh stay, you handsome maid, and rest a moment here, for there is none but you alone that I do love so dear. How gloriously the sun do shine, and pleasant is the air. I'd rather rest on a true love's breast than any other where. For I am thine and thou art mine, no man shall uncomfort me. We'll join our hands in wedded bands, and married we shall be. When I close my eyes, I am literally there in the story, even though it's the middle of the night and I'm at home, just in my front room, and there's a really bright light on. But if I close my eyes, I'm gone. Anyway, I hope you like that one. That was Searching for Lambs, and it was the very first song, or the very first folk song, or any song that I sang live in front of people, and that was, I was in my 20s, so I haven't been singing that long. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm quite old, but what I mean is I wasn't singing as a kid, so anyone can do it. I don't know if anybody watched a programme on BBC4 called, I think it was called Bread, a Loaf Affair, a love affair, a programme called Time Shift. I've just finished watching it. I only caught the tail end. Thanks, Yvonne, for letting me know about that. It was quite funny. They have to sex everything up, don't they? There's Andrew Whitley there being interviewed. He started off the Village Bakery up in the Lake District, and then he was the fan of the Real Bread campaign, but he's there making his ciabatta, his pair of ciabatta, saying it was like grasping his lover's thighs. Anyway, yeah, a loaf affair. So they were talking about all different kinds of bread, fancy breads, and it did say that ciabatta actually was invented in the 1980s. It's quite a modern bread. I didn't actually know that, so I've learnt something new. Ciabatta is the Italian word for slipper, I believe. So they're like little slippers in a way. This evening we've actually made calzone, which is also Italian. It means stockings or socks. If you've never made a calzone before, it's basically a folded over pizza. So we made a normal bread dough recipe, just like the one that I told you about in episode 1. It's just a basic dough recipe, or you can make pizza dough recipe. So you're basically making pizza dough pizza bases, and then once you've made your pizza base, you're going to fold it in half once you've put the toppings in. So if you imagine half of it, you're going to cover half of it with your sauce, so like your passata or your tomatoes and whatever toppings you've got. So we just had tuna and sweet corn and a load of cheese, and then you fold over the dough so it's a half moon shape, and then you do a little seam around the edge and press it down so it looks a little bit like a Cornish pasty by the time you've done, but a bit flatter. So that's calzone. It's after 9 p.m. and I'm sat in my front garden. I'm watching the house martins flying around. I've just found out that they're house martins rather than swifts. They're going into the eaves of my neighbour's house. Actually, I think they are swifts after all. Well, that one's a blackbird. But since recording that, I've changed my mind again. I think they're swifts. I've also found out that one swift, oh there they are, it's just flitted by. One swift weighs the same as a Cadbury's cream egg. Bit of trivia for you. And also baby swifts, when they're born, they do press-ups. Anyway, if anyone knows what that call was before, what bird it was, please let me know. Just a little bit of information if you'd like to get your own sourdough starter going. It's really quite simple. I did make a video on the Facebook page Together We Rise, which is like the community side of the baking, and because we were going to have a launch in March, which got cancelled, so I did it online and we made a starter. It takes 4 days, and all you need is a glass jar or a plastic container even. It doesn't have to be glass. Not a kilner jar, because it's going to bubble a lot and you don't want it to break. So anyway, you get your container and it's just have a loose fitting lid. And every day for 4 days you're going to add flour and water and mix it together. It's out of the book, what's it called? Do Sourdough, of course it is, by Andrew Whitley again, the founder of the Real Bread campaign. Let me just find it. I just want to remind you, please get rye flour if you can. So you need rye flour because not only are there yeasts in the air and on your fingers in your house, there's also yeast, natural yeast on the flour. You know, that's the main place where you're going to get the yeast from. And rye flour has a larger proportion of yeast. It's the best way to get a starter going. So day 1, you need 25 grams of wholemeal rye flour and 50 grams of water. Mix it together. Day 2, you add another 25 grams of wholemeal rye flour and 50 grams of water. Day 3, 25 grams of wholemeal rye flour and 50 grams of water. And then on the last day, for some reason, you've had 50 grams of wholemeal rye flour and 50 grams of water. So you have slightly more rye flour. So every day when you add your ingredients, you mix them together with your fingers. So don't use antibacterial, that horrible stuff, what we all have to use at the moment. What is it called? Hand sanitizer. And just mix it with your fingers because you're getting all the natural yeast in there. And after a while, it will start bubbling. I can guarantee you it will. That is your sourdough starter. Let me know how you get on. I don't know if you can hear this sound, this trembling noise. That is the sound of the aspen leaves. Aspen is Populus tremula or tremula. They sometimes call it trembling aspen. It's one of my favourite trees. I just love it. It's in the birch family. You can tell by the bark. It looks a bit birch-like. And the leaves, they're almost rounded really. They've got wavy edges. My daughter calls it the wavy tree because it looks like the leaves are waving at you. It's actually one of my favourite poems, the Lady of Shallot. Willows whiten, aspens quiver, little breezes dusk and shiver, round the island to the river, the Island of Shallot, something like that anyway. Right, I'm home now and I've checked. It's nearly that. It goes like this. Willows whiten, aspens quiver, little breezes dusk and shiver, through the wave that runs forever, by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shallot. Well, that's interesting. The aspen is actually in the willow family. I never knew that. I thought it was in the birch family, the Betulaceae, but it's actually in the the Salix family. Right, you learn something new every day. I still vouch for the fact that the bark is birch-like. But there you go. No, the berries don't come out.
Can I just eat the plant like this?
You can eat the flowers like that. There's no berries. When do the berries come out?
Mm.
In the autumn. Oh look! Look. How do you know if it's ready for elderflower?
Yeah, pollen comes off your hand.
You see, that's not ready yet.
Not ready.
Come on then.
Ready.
Look at this is the first elderflower we've seen, isn't it?
I just need to tie my laces. Can somebody hold the dog out?
First elderflower we've seen this year, and it's just lovely. That smell takes me back.
Ready.
She'll have to make champagne. Elderflower champagne. It's the time of year though. But remember, Poppy May, 8 years ago. No, wait a minute.
I'm not.
Let me get this
I'm
right.
Still 7.
How long do you leave it? Is it 2 weeks or 1? I'll have to look at the recipe. I can't remember, but when I was in labour with you, I was bottling elderflower.
Oh no, there's people.
You can make elderflower fritters, can't you? You can dip the flowers into. We'll have to make some batter mixture. Anyway, let's go. Yes, the elder is finally out, and I can get my big bucket out and get some champagne started. So if you're going to make elderflower champagne, I suggest you collect a load of pop bottles, 2 litre pop bottles. We've been collecting some for a while because it gets very, very fizzy. When you make it, you don't need to add yeast at all because the elderflower has got natural yeast on it. You know when it's ready because you just tap the flower with your hand and the pollen comes off on your hand. That's where all the yeasts are. I'm not going to tell you my recipe because I can't remember it, and also it's a secret family recipe, but I'm sure you can find one on the internet. All you need is 8 elderflower heads, not the leaves. You probably only need about 8. A big bucket of water. You chuck a load of sugar in, like just the cheap sugar, granulated sugar. I mean like a load, it's a lot of sugar. You need a lemon, or a couple of lemons, say a couple of lemons. Chuck them in, sliced. Now, what else do you need? Oh, your vinegar. That's it. Drop of vinegar. Put the elderflowers on top. Give it a really good mix. Put a lid on. And then, I reckon it's only a week. You leave it for a week. Then you're going to strain all that off. And you're left with a liquid. And you're going to pour that into your pop bottles. And then put the lids on. Not too tight, just average tightness, because they will swell up. And in the bottles, it will take a couple of weeks for it to be ready, I'd say. and it's very, very fizzy, and it's really nice. It's not alcoholic, possibly a tiny little bit, but it's fine for kids. It's that mental health awareness week thingy. I don't normally jump on bandwagons, but I might topic this podcast around that theme. Just popped in my mind now as I'm walking home. When I get back, I shall dig out a report that was done by the Real Bread campaign. It's called Rising Up, and it's a report about the therapeutic effects that baking bread can have on one's mental health. Anyway, I'll read it when I get home anyway. It's quite interesting. So this report is done by the Real Bread campaign. Now, the Real Bread campaign is like CAMRA, but for bread bakers. It's a comprehensive report of research that they did to document the benefits of bread making. So they had conversations and correspondence with people and talked about therapeutic bread baking. 88% of people told us baking gave them a sense of achievement. 87% told us baking makes them feel happier, and 73% said baking helped them feel more calm or more relaxed. I have to say, when I started my baking project, community baking project, I think it started about 5 years ago, it was just really to get people together, and it was never labelled as a therapeutic thing or anything like that. It was just a sociable thing, and it was centred around music as well, music and bread. And it just so happens that people came and just loved it and got a lot out of it. And I think for anyone who's just feeling a bit down or lonely, it's really helped. It really helps a lot of people. So this report is called Rising Up. If we go to page, I don't know where, it's somewhere near the back anyway. We've got a proposal for something called Together We Rise. Now, when I read this report, this is from, let's see, when was this published? 2013. A couple of years ago, I asked the Real Bread campaign for permission to steal the name Together We Rise, and they said, yeah, that's fine, to name my project Together We Rise. So also the name of the podcast as well. The separate project called Together We Rise that I've just set up is a voluntary and community project, which will enable us to access funding, so we can then take our workshops out into the community to help people with mental health difficulties, or perhaps who are feeling a bit lonely or isolated or have suffered with PTSD, like war veterans, survivors of domestic violence, or just anybody really, anybody who wants to come and bake bread. The bread is the kind of the lovely byproduct at the end, but it's the actual getting together and baking the bread that's important. I like to think of the analogy of bread and life, really. If you think about it, in life we can get knocked back, but we'll come back again, and we'll kind of rise again like dough. We'll come back better than before. So when you make bread, you knock the bread dough back after the first knead. So you start by kneading your dough. It rises. You let your dough rise so it's quite big, and then, counterintuitively perhaps, you then knock all the air out. So you knock it back, and then you shape it, and it rises again, and it rises even better than it was before. So I like that as it's a metaphor. I've just pulled up at a place near by where I live. It's some old ruins of a church, and every year I've noticed when driving by, at the side of the road there is a plant called butterbur. I don't know if any of you've heard of it, but it has huge leaves. They almost look like rhubarb leaves. It's kind of a mix between, in looks, between rhubarb and burdock. So if you know burdock, I'm just going to get out the car and have a look so I can describe it better to you. So yeah, they're a bit like that ornamental rhubarb, I think it's called, that you get in gardens and parks and stuff that grows near water. I'll take a picture anyway and put it in the show notes. But it's a huge plant. It's called Petacytes, something or other. I can't remember the second name, but it's called Butterbur. Like I say, we're right close to a main road, so I wouldn't actually pick this and use it. But in the olden days, they would have used this to wrap butter in to keep it cool. It does have some rather weird flowers that come up before the leaf, I think, if I remember correctly. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, the leaves are about a foot in diameter. I thought while I'm here, I'm also going to go and look at the church ruins. I'm walking up the little path, and there's a yew tree, and early in the spring it's covered in wildflowers. Wandering around the church, I've also found a lovely little plant called ivy-leaved toadflax. It usually grows on walls and in damp, dark places. It makes me feel quite like a little bit melancholy, but not really. It's like I need to sing a song about death here, really. So I did choose to sing Barbara Allen. Barbara Allen, or Barbary Allen, is a really old folk song. I think there's like American versions and English versions, loads of different versions, and I can never quite remember it all. So got the words a bit mixed up, but hey. And it's all about unrequited love. Barbary Allen is a little bit mean, and William loves her, and because she doesn't return his love, he dies, lovesick and forlorn. And then when she realises that he's died, because he loved her so much, she suddenly realises, of course, that she loved him too, and also dies of sorrow. There you go, nice cheery song to cheer you all up. And then, of course, they get buried next to each other in the churchyard, and out of one grave grows a briar, and out of the other grave grows a rose, and they climb up the tall church tower right to the top and intertwine to make a true lover's knot. That's quite a nice song, and it's also set in the merry month of May, and we're nearly at the end of the merry month of May, which I'm quite sad about. I also found out lately, after all these years, I didn't know, but it's also my mum's favourite month, May. So I just want to say to my mum, hi Mum, and I love you loads and I miss you, because I haven't seen you obviously since, well, for ages. She's missing her grandchildren, so yeah, shout out to my mum. See you soon, hopefully.
In Scarlet Town, when I was born, there lived a fair maid dwelling, and every lad cried well a day for the love of Barbara Allen. 'Twas in the merry month of May, the green buds were a-swelling, sweet William on his deathbed lay for the love of Barbara Allen. He sent a servant into town to the place where she was dwelling, saying, come with me to my master's side, if your name is Barbara Allen. And slowly, slowly she rose up, and slowly she drew nigh him, and the only thing to him did say was, young man, I think you're dying. As she was walking o'er the field, she heard the death bells knelling, and every ring it seemed to say, hard-hearted Barbara Allen. Oh mother, go dig my grave, go dig it long and narrow. Sweet William died for me for love, and I will die for sorrow. Oh father, go dig my grave, go dig it long and narrow. Sweet William died on yesterday, and I will die tomorrow. Barbary Allen was buried in the old churchyard. Sweet William was buried beside her. From sweet William's grave there grew a red rose. From Barbary Allen's grew a briar. They climbed and climbed up the tall church tower till they could grow no higher, and there they formed a true lover's knot, with the rose wrapped round the briar.
It literally is the last day of May, so I'm going to squeeze in a little poem now, and then after that it's going to be nearly 11 o'clock p.m, that is, and I'm going to go and sing some Sacred Harp with a live stream from America, which will be a lovely end to the day. This is a poem that was written by a friend of mine called Steve Plowright. Arise, sweet May. Arise, for May is now awake, and so why not you? Shake off your feather beds and bid a welcome to the new. Romantic visions streaming forth of dancing on the green, recalling days of fairer hue, when ploughboys for May blossoms sought their garlands green to weave. Then in the gathering gloom by the May eve moon, true love spells they'd croon, till May Day arose with her golden gleam. Then each crowned his own May Queen. Come dance and sing, all in a ring, old winter chase away. Be bright and gay, 'tis 1st of May, and summer's here to stay. Arise, for May is now awake, and so why not you?